Caitlin Clarke, how you feel about everything that's going on with her right now?
The situation involving Caitlin Clarke, I believe, is unfortunate for her because she has been relatively modest and quiet since entering the WNBA. I think the problem is that the white power structure and the WNBA has an agenda to make Caitlin Clarke the athletic face of the league. Now, they can make her the marketing face of the league, but it's going to be difficult to make her the athletic face of the league because she is not to the WNBA what LeBron James was to the NBA. She's not a Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic. She's not a Larry Bird, if you will. And so the problem, as I see it, is the WNBA wants to pass off responsibility for Caitlin Clarke not being the instant athletic phenom they want her to be. They want to pass off that responsibility onto the Black women of the WNBA. And it appears that they're trying to push a narrative that says Caitlin Clarke isn't able to maximize her talents on the court because she's being bullied by these much larger Black women. And that simply isn't true. Basketball is a competitive sport. You play to compete. That is the nature of athletics. So shaming and blaming Black women for competing against Caitlin Clarke when you all took it upon yourselves to exaggerate her skill set simply isn't fair. You saw what happened the other day. There was a game that the Indiana Fever had with Chicago Sky. And Kennedy Carter, I believe is the sister's name, she had shoulder checked Caitlin Clarke to the floor. The referees called a common foul, and the WNBA later upgraded the common foul to a flagrant foul. Well, everybody's up in arms calling Kennedy a bully. She's jealous. The Black women of the WNBA are jealous of Caitlin Clarke because she's getting all of this attention. Wait a minute. Time out. Why didn't anyone talk about the play just before the one that led to the shoulder check? Caitlin Clarke went over the head of one of Kennedy Carter's teammates, hit her in the head. The foul was not called. And then on the way back up the court, she proceeded to trash talk the opposing team. So, in any sport, when you foul someone and it's not called, and then you have the audacity to trash talk the other team on your way up the court, paybacks are due. That's in the WNBA, that's in the NBA, that's in college, that's in Little League. What Kennedy Carter did happens all the time in the WNBA, the NBA, college, and other places. But because she's supposed to be the Cinderella of the WNBA, white America took issue with it, and nobody focused on the fact that she started the whole thing. And what really perturbed me was when I went to the sports commentators on television, I hear Charles Snow Bunny Barkley calling the Black women of the WNBA jealous. He said they're jealous of Caitlin Clarke. And then Snow Bunny Shannon Sharpe, he chimes in with the same false criticism, saying that they're jealous of Caitlin Clarke. Nobody's jealous of Caitlin Clarke. No disrespect to her, because I don't think she deserves this, because she hasn't said or done anything that would warrant anybody intentionally pursuing her beyond the fact that a lot of much better players are being overlooked in deference to the white rookie, which I could understandably recognize if you got players who've been in this league for 1 year or more years who are way better than Caitlin Clarke, and they have been overlooked to be the athletic face of the WNBA, and everybody knows why. Because she's the new white girl who they want to be the ambassador for the sport. The problem is she isn't that good enough. And then Matt Barnes, he chimes in again with Snow Bunny Shannon Sharpe, and they both say that Caitlin Clarke's teammates are not protecting her. Protect her from what, Matt Barnes? Protect her from what, Snow Bunny Shannon Sharpe? She started the altercation. She hit the girl in the head. I do believe it was inadvertent. It was a basketball play. I don't think it was a dirty, cheap shot, but you still hit her and the ref didn't call it. And then you trash talked her and you got what you were looking for. So why are you calling on Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clarke's teammate, to be the plantation mammy of the WNBA and play bodyguard for Caitlin Clarke? Time out. Aaliyah Boston is a National Player of the Year. Aaliyah Boston is a Olympic gold medalist. Aaliyah Boston is an NCAA champion. Aaliyah Boston has her own status and prestige in the WNBA. She's just as accomplished, if not more so, than Caitlin Clarke. So why would you reduce her to being the on-court mammy whose new job now is not to play basketball, but to defend the privileged white girl, Caitlin Clarke, from other black female athletes? It's not fair. And then we come to LeBron Buck Dancing James, LBJ. And then LeBron James gets on the internet and he basically tells the black women of the WNBA to chill out and relax. Caitlin Clarke is the reason you guys are getting all this new attention. She's the reason that you guys are making more money. She's the reason attendance has picked up. She's the reason you guys are getting chartered flights. Well, guess what? I disagree with you, LeBron James. I disagree with you. And let me tell you why. Have you noticed, LeBron James, Charles Barkley, Shannon Sharpe, that because of Angel Reese, the Chicago Sky tickets have quadrupled in sale, that the stadium has quadrupled in attendance? Why is nobody talking about the Angel Reese effect? So you're telling me people are going to watch Angel Reese? Although Caitlin Clarke does not play in Chicago, people are going to watch Angel Reese because Caitlin Clarke is in the WNBA? That's not true. They're watching Angel Reese for Angel Reese. Last time I checked, Angel Reese beat the University of Iowa for the national championship 2 years ago. And the reason why Angel Reese is being demonized by the WNBA, white media, white society, and the coonocracy of the WNBA is because they did not forgive her for spoiling Caitlin Clarke's season 2 years ago. In the 2022-2023 national semifinals of the women's NCAA tournament, Caitlin Clarke in Iowa went against North Philadelphia's Dawn Staley and the undefeated Lady Gamecocks of the University of South Carolina. They were undefeated, and the referees robbed Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks. It was a highway robbery. If you breathed on Caitlin Clarke, they called a foul. But when the Lady Gamecocks were being beat up, Aaliyah Boston and company, no fouls were called. They were robbed. So after the White Snow Bunny referees robbed South Carolina in the national semifinals game, America thought that Caitlin Clarke would cruise to the national championship. But guess who had something to say about that? Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers. And Angel Reese knocked off Caitlin Clarke to win an NCAA National Women's Championship, and America has not forgiven her for that. Let's go to this year. So once again, Iowa sees Dawn Staley's Lady Gamecocks. Aaliyah Boston is in the WNBA. The referees couldn't cheat them this time. Now, they did beat Angel Reese in the semifinals. So Caitlin Clarke and Iowa did get some of their revenge, but they didn't get all of their revenge because when Angel Reese beat you, she won a ring. When you beat her, you didn't win a ring. And then you lost to Dawn Staley, a coach, by the way, who only lost 3 games in 3 seasons. Undefeated, unprecedented season. Dawn Staley is going to go down in history as the greatest women's basketball coach of all time. But guess what? She's not getting no attention at all. All the attention is going on the loser, Caitlin Clarke. When have you ever seen the losing team get more attention than the woman team? And to add insult to injury, I can't believe that Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey's running mate, had the audacity to interview Coach Dawn Staley in the aftermath of the University of South Carolina's national championship And she asks Dawn Staley, this is a black woman, elder, interviewing another black woman, youth. And she says, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind? Because we were all rooting for Caitlin Clarke in the University of Iowa. Time out, Gail. Time out, Gail. Who was rooting for Caitlin Clarke in the University of Iowa? Because I wasn't. I was rooting for my North Philadelphia sister coach, Dawn Staley, and the Lady Gamecocks. And I watch them more than men's basketball. Caitlin Clarke isn't the only reason people are tuning into women's college basketball and the WNBA. It's because of Dawn Staley, the Lady Gamecocks, Angel Reese, the improvement in ladies competition over the past couple years. And yes, Caitlin Clarke, I will not deny her impact, but to put it in a vacuum, Stephen A. Smith, to put it in a vacuum, Matt Barnes, to put it in a vacuum, LaShawn McCoy, to put it in a vacuum, Shannon Sharpe, and say that all of this new attention is due to the white female rookie is not fair to the players who are already there. This started 2 years ago when Angel Reese beat Iowa. You know as well as I know, you can't have a protagonist without an antagonist. Why do you go to movies to watch Batman? You go to movies to watch Batman because you know there's going to be a Riddler. Why do you go to a boxing match? Because you know if Gervonta Davis is on this side of the ring, somebody else is going to be on this side of the ring. The protagonist and the antagonist make the story. Unfortunately, white America has made Angel Reese into the antagonist. So be it. The point that I'm making is Caitlin Clarke cannot exist without an Angel Reese. If Angel Reese never beats Caitlin Clarke for the NCAA Women's Championship 2 years ago, we're not even having this conversation. That rivalry made this a situation. And the fact that they both transitioned to the WNBA at the same time made it even more of a rivalry. And the fact that Caitlin Clarke joined a team that has Aaliyah Boston, former national champion, gold medalist, national player of the year. So her former nemesis is now her teammate, and they're going up against Angel Reese. That even makes for a better story. I'm not denying Caitlin Clarke her greatness. I'm saying she's not doing it alone. She's not doing it alone. Angel Reese's impact is almost as strong. There's more white women in America. So yeah, Caitlin Clarke is going to sell more tickets. She's going to sell more paraphernalia because there's more white women in America than black women. That goes without saying. But to try to reduce Angel Reese to being a hater and jealous of this girl is not fair. Last time I checked, Caitlin Clarke does not lead the NBA, the WNBA in any category. She doesn't lead the WNBA in any category. Her team has the second worst record in the entire WNBA. Who is jealous of that? Who is jealous of that? And then Shannon Sharpe, along with Matt Barnes and everybody else, Shady McCoy and the rest of these Negropeans, they are up there talking about how she's being unfairly targeted. Guess what? Angel Reese has been just as targeted on the basketball court as Caitlin Clarke. Did you see the game a couple days ago where the player from the opposing team picked Angel Reese up and slammed her to the ground, and she ended up getting ejected? Why didn't Shannon Sharpe talk about the bullying of Angel Reese? Why didn't Charles Snow Bunny Barkley talk about the bullying of Angel Reese? Why didn't LeBron James and Shady McCoy and Stephen A. Smith talk about the bullying of Angel Reese? Why are we only talking about the alleged bullying of a Caitlin Clarke? I think it's racist. I think it's unfair. Do you know what just happened last night or the night before? Asia, I forget Asia's last name. She's also a former NCAA women's champion. She's also a former national player of the year. She just made WNBA history last night or the night before. She plays for the Las Vegas Aces. She's also a Dawn Staley product. She just scored 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. She's the first player in WNBA history to score 35 points, grab 10 rebounds, dish out 5 assists. It's never been done in a single game. She plays for the Las Vegas Aces. Guess what? Every home game has been sold out so far this year in Las Vegas. Is Caitlin Clarke responsible for that? Is Caitlin Clarke responsible for the sold out games in Chicago? What are we doing here? I can't believe Stephen A. Smith, Snow Bunny Barkley, Snow Bunny Sharpe, Matt Barnes, LaShawn McCoy, LeBron James. I can't believe they're going out of their way to help the NBA and white America paint this false narrative that Caitlin Clarke is just so good and everybody else is jealous of her. That's not true. You're putting her on a pedestal and she's not good enough at this time to live up to the hype or to the expectation. All of those women, including Caitlin Clarke, are responsible for the new hype in the WNBA. And if I may, LeBron James, who I love and respect, Black wife, Black children, took his friends from childhood, had them trained, educated, and they became part of his economic empire. Nothing but respect for LeBron James with regard to that. But how is it that LeBron James can come to the aid of Caitlin Clarke and protect her from her Black competition in the WNBA? And how is it that LeBron James could stand in solidarity with Israel against its occupation and genocide of Palestinians? Over 100,000 Palestinians have been murdered as a result of this war. But LeBron James and Maverick Carter came out publicly in defense and in solidarity with Israel. So you came to the defense of a white country. You came to the defense of a white girl. But LeBron James, can I ask you a question? Where was all this energy 2 Junes ago in 2022? Where was all this energy, LeBron James, 2 years ago, when a Black man from your hometown of Akron, Ohio, by the name of Jalen Walker, was shot more than 90 times by the police of Akron? He was unarmed. He fled on foot. They caught up with him, executed him. His body was riddled with nearly 90 bullets. And do you know what LeBron James had to say about it? I have to pray for my city. That's all he could offer in defense of Jalen Walker, the Black community of Akron, Ohio, and Jalen Walker's family. I have to pray. But why did you pray for Israel and Palestine? Why did you pray for Caitlin Clarke? You stood up in defense of Israel. You stood up in defense of Caitlin Clarke, but LeBron James couldn't stand up in defense of Jalen Walker, who was executed with 90 bullets by the police in Akron, Ohio. Here's what we need to understand. The traditional Black bourgeoisie no longer exists. They no longer have in America academically trained Negroes who can influence the political and social behavior of Black America. You don't have the Jesse Jacksons with the influence they used to have anymore. You don't have the Al Sharptons with the influence they used to have anymore. You don't have the Andrew Youngs with the influence that they used to have anymore. You don't have the Congressional Black Caucus with the influence they used to have anymore. So if you no longer have an academically trained, socially elite Black bourgeoisie, who do you replace them with? You know what they're doing? They're replacing them with Black celebrities. LeBron James is now a spokesperson for Black America. Charles Snow Bunny Barkley is a spokesperson for Black America. Shannon Snow Bunny Sharpe is a spokesperson for Black America. Negroes who have no vested interest in the best interests of African people are now the spokespersons, and they are not doing a good job at all. To see these Black men throw Angel Reese under the bus, and let me not forget Emmanuel Ocho, my Nigerian brother who has a tendency to coon out every once in a while. Emmanuel Ocho, after Angel Reese lost to Caitlin Clarke in the national semifinals a few months ago, he gets on television and he basically shames Angel Reese for the fact that she's receiving death threats. How do you shame a 22-year-old child? My daughter is 22 years old. How do you shame a 22-year-old girl who's crying in the post game interview because she lost and under the pressure of being vilified by white America, under the pressure of racial remarks and slanderous messages being sent her way every day, all day? She cries as a child does. And what does Emmanuel Ocho do? He gets on TV, shames and blames Angel Reese, and basically tells her, if you want to play the villain, then you have to suck it up when it comes your way. Look at this now. Angel Reese is being treated like an animal by these black male sportscasters. She's being treated like an animal by these black male sportscasters, while at the same time, they upholding the privileged white girl, Caitlin Clarke. It ain't nothing but good old-fashioned racism. And I stand in solidarity with Angel Reese. I stand in solidarity with Kennedy Carter. I stand in solidarity with Asia Wilson and Aaliyah Boston and all those beautiful black women who are helping to make the WNBA what it is right now. Asia Wilson is probably going to end up being the greatest female basketball player of all time. That 35, 10, and 5, she out there running that thing. Sold out games every night. Why isn't Stephen A. Smith talking about the Asia Wilson effect? And Gayle King, don't you ever in your life break breath to ask a black coach what were they thinking when they went up against a white student in a national championship game. Gayle King, you owe Coach Dawn Staley an apology. How dare you tell a black woman that you was rooting against her for a white team and a white player at a white university that has less than 3% black children on campus? What the hell do you mean we were all rooting for Caitlin Clarke in the University of Iowa?
Hey man, everything you just said, man, was spot on. Your take was spot on. And Asia Wilson, I don't know if you know, but she is the face of the WNBA. She's the best player in the WNBA right now. And she don't get
It's
no
not
love
even
at all,
close.
yo.
It's not even close. Asia Wilson is the best player in the WNBA. It's not even close. Sold out arenas, just broke a record. I don't hear Stephen A. Smith. I don't hear Snow Bunny Sharpe, Snow Bunny Barkley. I don't hear Emmanuel Ocho. I don't hear LeBron James singing her praises, but they singing the praises for Caitlin Clarke. And this speaks to a larger issue, though, of black celebrity males. I want to introduce a term to you that I call political effeminization. And I want to explain what that is. Political effeminization is not sexual effeminization. It's not social effeminization. It has nothing to do with your ability to engage in stereotypical, traditional, social, aggressive male forms of behavior. Not at all. Political effeminization speaks to the need for black men to politically stand up against the white power structure and defend their women, their children, their elders, and their community. When I see LeBron James cape out for Caitlin Clarke, like she's the only reason the WNBA is doing what it's doing. When I see Stephen A. Smith and Matt Barnes cape out for Caitlin Clarke, like she's the only reason that the WNBA is doing what she's doing. When I see Snow Bunny Barkley and Snow Bunny Shay Shay cape out for her like this, it ignore Asia Wilson and her effect. Ignore Angel Reese and her effect. Ignore Aaliyah Boston and her effect. To me, that is a form of political effeminization. You don't have the courage. You don't have the courage. You don't have the masculinity to stand up to systemic racism in the media, in the government, in the society, in the criminal justice system, in the school system. They don't have the courage. They are not men of courage when it comes to standing up and defending the integrity and self-respect of black women. Political effeminization.